Welcome to Deep Night Revelation. We will be picking up where we left off last week. These guys, Revelation has, after its big run-in with a bioship known as the Great Bioship, mostly because not because it's that great, mostly because it's 112,000 tons. It's a little pudgy on the bioship end. They ended up finally obliterating it with their spinal mount particle beam gun, and they sifted through the wreckage, and they have continued on their way. And so I guess there was a what, about 6 weeks of travel time where pretty much nothing happened, and now they have come out into this system that is a K5 pre-subgiant star. It is all kinds of overweight, and speaking of overweight, the star is overweight, and it's throwing off solar flares and whatnot. Not a whole lot going on in here, although Revelation has parked itself around a small gas giant while it skims for fuel, and they discovered that the second primary world is initially looking at it, it looked like it was a pretty nice planet. But then they get closer to it, they discover that most of this world is dead. It's like 46 to 55% water, so there's a large ocean, but the land masses, all the vegetation is dying off, and it is mostly nothing now but scrubby moss and lichen, and even that's starting to die off, and it is clear to them that this world has been infected by the Deepnight Entity. And even stranger still, they found the location of a crash site, something large in about the 2,000 ton range, crashed on the world, and the entity, it seems, the vegetation tried to latch onto whatever crashed there, and it also ended up dying. And so they are where we left off. They were taking a Deep Night Scout down to the surface to check it out. Pappy won't be with us tonight. Brian has a other engagement, work or otherwise. I'm not sure exactly which, but he's out for tonight. So Pappy will be flying in the background. Before we get started, we would like to bring up the fact that we do have a merch store via Zazzle. We've got t-shirts and hoodies and buttons and Whiskey Rocks glasses and beer steins, all sorts of stuff, just stuff on that store. And 100% of the proceeds from that store goes back into our channel. It helps us cover things like Roll20 Pro, Incarnate Pro that we use for some of the maps, that one of which will be used tonight. Even the software that we use to make these videos, which is Wondershare Filmora, all of that, at the beginning of each month, all of those little subscriptions get together and gang up on us. So if you are enjoying the show and you want to help us out, go over to our merch store and pick yourself up a t-shirt, and we appreciate everything that you do for us. Just hitting the store yesterday, which we were partially talking about earlier, is if you watch our Saturday game, the Braunhaven fantasy role-playing system or role-playing world that we are in. Currently, that game is using Old School's Essentials for the second of the next campaign, which appears to be rapidly approaching. It will be using Castles and Crusades, and the second edition Braunhaven campaign setting book, the first book, the Braunhaven Player's Guide, went up for sale yesterday on DriveThruRPG, and that is up available in PDF format. Hardcover premium color books are coming soon. I'm not sure if it's going to be print on demand or another way. That's still being discussed, but that is coming. So it is available in PDF format now up on DriveThruRPG if you are interested in following along with that campaign and you want a book full of lore and all of the locations. All right, so Pappy launches you guys and breaks Atmo, and you are in the world. And this is kind of the world that you are seeing now over here. From the sensors that were picked up by Revelation, this is the site of what they believe is a 2,000-ton ship that crashed here. And this is essentially exactly the way the rest of this world looks. There are mountains and whatnot. What should be valleys and grasslands is now all just a either barren rock or a scrubby moss and lichen kind of substance. Um, these forests, like for instance here and here, there's several of them. All of those trees are dead. These should be vast forests. All of these trees are either dead, or the few that are still barely clinging to life are brown and sickly. So I mean, this whole planet has just been leached. If you can, on your way in, anybody who wants to can, of course, do sensor reading. You guys do whatever you want as far as what you want to do on incoming to the site.
Yeah, definitely scan it as it comes in.
Okay, go ahead and make a electronic sensors plus intellect check, and you get a +2 to that. Okay, so wow, with a 14, you get you confirm a bunch of data, but you also get some additional information with that scan. A couple of things come in. It confirms information that you already know. That, I mean, obviously the planet is dying. It does confirm that there are signs of you are detecting your biosignature signs of the entity. There are spores here. It is showing that the spores appear to be either dead or inert. And not necessarily inert. Dead or in stasis kind of thing. So like what you know about the entity is that like even if it's on an asteroid in deep space, it's not necessarily dead. As soon as it gets, an iota of heat and oxygen and some kind of material that it can feed on, it will wake up and come back to life. So the readings that are coming back, they are the sensor, the computer is flipping between whether it is dead or just in its dormant form. The computer's unable to really discern the difference. And just quickly looking at it, it's unable. You'd be unable to discern unless you already had some knowledge about it. The other thing that it's picking up is that this is strange. There's no signs of higher life forms, although there are signs that higher life forms existed at one time. So there are the obvious chemical telltale signatures in the atmosphere and in the oceans and water, but there's no sense of movement or anything else. There's no birds. There's no land-based animals. There's no sea-based animals. They're all gone.
And the spores are just in the air and atmosphere and everything.
Potentially, yes. Mostly the sensor readings are coming back that the spores are coming from the ground. However, the ground is so dead and dry that wind will pick it up. It's not necessarily like it's going to create a dust storm or a sandstorm, but any wind will kick these spores up into the air. But all of your biosignature readings from the bioscanner part of your sensors is coming back that they are dead or otherwise dormant.
Is there a particular reason why we're wanting to go to the ship? Is it just because that's what we found?
Well, where we left off, the thing is that it appears that the entity tried to latch onto whatever crashed here, and it too, as soon as it did, it too ended up dying out. And so they are interested in, if the entity can't even survive whatever this ship was, then that is of interest to them. Was the theory.
Okay, if this whole planet had an infection of the fungus, and it was on this vast scale that it was an extinction level event to a higher, right, we might actually, I mean, I know that the ship has something, but I think before we leave, we need to find where the big brain is, or they make these hives or these things, and they have different
Clusters.
levels of evolutions. Yeah. And so there has to be at least the remnants of a cluster here. Has to be.
Maybe I'm confused, and it's entirely possible. It's been a long day. What spores are we talking about? Are we talking about the Deepnight Entity spores? Or are we talking about...
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
The fungus among us.
Okay. So
Big bag.
I'm hoping
Yeah.
we have some sort of planet-busting technology.
Not really.
But I mean, we could do stuff. I mean,
yeah, I mean, you could go out. So I will bring this.
We could drop big rocks from space.
I was just gonna say, like, here's a planetoid belt. Theoretically, you could Revelation could go into this planetoid belt and force a bunch of rocks to collide with the planet. I mean, that worked well for the Aslan when they decided to shit can Drinax. It should work theoretically here.
I mean, with the spinal mount, it's such a heavy. I mean,
not going to work
we could
on a
play
planet.
Well, you're not letting me finish. With the spinal mount, I mean, it could act as a really big pool stick to those little asteroids and stuff out there. And with the right math, I mean, you could really do a lot if you wanted to.
Yes, that is true. That is true. But I mean, you don't even have to go that fancy. I mean, you could just, catch one with the nose of a ship and nudge it in that direction, and in a couple of years, it's gonna be gonna be obliterated.
Yeah. But we should do the math if we're gonna,
Of course.
I would definitely be up for some fucking intergalactic pool with the spinal mount cannon. I mean, that we would have to record that, and it would be awesome.
Bocephus, you can make a science biology plus education check.
All right.
Jesus.
15.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, you're running right in my wheelhouse with all those sciences, though.
Right. And education. So
yeah,
+5 effect on that because it was a 10 plus. So you're as Sarda is bringing in the sensor data. Essentially, all that information that he got was the basic raw data, and it's getting fed over to your station on the bridge, and so you're sitting there collating a lot of this data. You find another interesting piece of, I guess you could say, the Deepnight Entity puzzle. And so what you guys know about the entity is that it doesn't have a whole lot of reach, right? I mean, you get a cluster, and even if it creates shamblers, and it doesn't matter what the shambler is, it could be, if it's a human, that much better because it will have some intellect to it, at least for a time. But it can turn anything, like it could turn a deer into a shambler, it could turn a turtle into a shambler, whatever, and it can then direct them. But they don't have a whole lot of range, and so when you have a cluster, uh, there's a limited range before the shamblers have to come back to the cluster, because the main purpose of these shamblers is to collect food and bring it back to feed the cluster so that the cluster can grow, etc. And in the meantime, of course, the cluster has dropped tendrils into the ground and is sucking out nutrients from the very soil around it. But what you find is that the first signs of death of this world was not the plant life. It was actually the higher mobile life forms.
Huh.
So deer, whales, fish, stuff that is theoretically very far away from a cluster was actually attacked first, is what you're finding in this data, at least according to the chemical biosignatures. Then what happened next was then you saw the fall off of plant life, and now, I mean, the entity, of course, I mean, this is an entire planet. You wouldn't say that the entity is completely dead. I can pinpoint where exactly there are clusters. There's a cluster here. Here. So anywhere where there are living trees, there's a cluster.
Okay, so there's several of them around.
Right, but they are on they are on life support. They are, it's not going to be very long before they're completely out at all.
It's taking its time. It's hoping the trees grow back. I say we burn everything on this planet.
Oh, I thoroughly agree.
Leave it nothing to eat.
I would like to get some scans if we could. On the way to the ship that's wrecked. As we're moving, like we just went over some.
Right.
These, so there are theoretically clusters there. I would like to get some direct scans of those. And then especially on these big area here, that's real green. I'd like to get as we're approaching this ship that we're going to, I really would like to get, God, maybe some high resolution pictures of these clusters and kind of get a feel.
Sure.
on
I don't have
this is shit that we don't really know about. You know what I mean? And so I mean,
right.
the learning curve is.
No, before I say what I was about to say, let me double check. I was going to say I don't have any pictures of clusters this size, but
of course you don't, because there's no way they could have foreseen me asking that.
Well, that may not necessarily be true, though.
Well, some of them might be listening. I try to throw them a bone. They're good, they're good chaps.
I'm looking ahead.
Oh yeah, you might be fucking up, and it's like all in this high detailed fucking 3-page set.
Yes,
you haven't really
a high resolution picture of what a cluster looks like. I don't think they even. I've got some smaller clusters that you have run into before, and
okay.
Yep, nope. I was right. There is no good picture. So I don't think that I don't think that Mel has seen these. This is a small cluster. This was originally one that they found on the first ship that they found. The cluster had taken over Deepnight Endeavor, and this was a small cluster found on that ship. It is hideous looking. And then on Alpha, they ran and actually in that closed off droid laboratory, they ran into larger clusters, which tend to resemble something like this.
That looks fun.
Right. And so,
Man, yeah, these are fucked up things, Mel.
yeah, as you can see, it is at that major cluster point. That's where it's starting to incorporate the creatures that it has absorbed, and it's basically slowly digesting them. And essentially, that you've got a shambler. So a shambler, in this case, a humanoid, looking like so. They can last, initial infection can last anywhere from a week to 2 weeks, where they appear to have minor flu-like symptoms. They are irritable. I mean, if I got it, I'd probably be a complete dick because I'm just an ass when I get sick. I'm not happy with anything. That can go on for a week to 2 weeks. Towards the end of that time, they start to exhibit more and more and more symptoms of the infection, and they get more and more clumsy as the fungus takes over their autonomic systems, and they may once they get to the shambler stage, which is way far gone, they're essentially a zombie of the cluster, and that can be anything from, they might have some minor memories. Like, for instance, they might continue to use a firearm, but it's more of a reflex than anything else. If in their normal day-to-day life, they knew that they had to use a keypad to unlock a door, they might remember that code. But the further along they get, the clumsier they get, and the more that they are no longer able to remember any of their previous life. And it finally gets to a point where they are pretty much just useless. And at that point, the cluster recalls them, and they come back, and the cluster just eats them. They become a part of the cluster, and it just turns them into food. And the process goes on. These clusters, of course, would be quite a bit larger because one of these hexes is 1.6 kilometers. So, if you got a cluster here, you're talking about a cluster that's almost a kilometer in diameter, and that's pretty much true for all of these. But they're all sickly and faring poorly. They are on their outs. They have essentially sucked the planet dry, and there's nothing left. The other thing, Sarda, with your scan and Bocephus, your initial scans that came up are clearly registering that yes, this is a crash site. It is not a. There are. I take this back. There are some telltale signs of metallics there. It's hard to tell if the crash was deep enough to dislodge a vein of ore or something else. All of the other telltale signs are matching, almost identical to the scans that you took of the Great Bioship. So it's pretty much confirmed that this is a bioship, though it is much smaller. It's in the 2,000 ton range.
So, am I wrong in assuming that perhaps while these biologicals are our enemies and crazy and all that, that they might also be the enemy of our enemy, and they might be trying to eradicate it too. Thought.
Possible. I mean that's possibly a valid theory. Is there anything?
Don't have any way to communicate with them though.
Yeah.
Well, we need to study them more. Maybe they communicate with pheromones or something that we haven't really paid attention to.
Wasn't there a study that said if you play easy listening, plants thrive?
mm,
I think that might have exhibited some sort of selection bias.
Right.
yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of possibilities you could explore as far as communicating with the
Do
biological.
we still have the biological net
Yeah.
on the Deepnight?
It is in stasis in your lab.
Yeah. It might be. We really need to start doing more science, I think, and fucking around with crew morality.
Science.
Yeah, I think that's. Well, I mean, so many of us have science type skills.
With all the shit that Bocephus has collected, and the clones. I don't know if you guys have seen Alien Earth yet, but I just have this image of that one lab where they've got all the creatures that they've collected. That's what his lab looks like. Like, it's all this weird shit. Like, oh, there's the eyeball creature over there, and
it's got monkeys and shit.
And monkeys.
Got monkeys and shit going around in there, and
yes.
And Chirpy.
Yeah,
Chirpy's in engineering, I think.
Yeah, he's down.
I think
no, he joined the science division.
Oh, okay. Well, look at him. Hopefully, they're working on that droid ship that we salvaged and trying to figure out what the fuck that network around the hole was. But I don't know if we've not been asking about it, or are they just kind of doing that in the background and they're going to show up one day with a report?
It is a research project that is under that is ongoing.
Okay, so one day we can expect a report or some sort to show up.
Assuming that they know even what they're looking at.
Is that one of the things where we really need more of a hands-on approach to try to untwig the butt? Just metagame talk.
So what I can tell you about the droid ship is that that ship is roughly 300,000 years old, placing it likely as ancients technology, and so they can recognize that it is a ship, and they can recognize that it is a obvious droid design, but there are parts about it or systems that, since of course they no longer function. They have no idea how to even activate them.
Okay.
I mean, you're at that level. You're talking about like, if you were to get a caveman and go back in time and bring a caveman forward and sit him down in front of a laptop and tell him to use the internet, he's not going to have any fucking idea of what's going on. So, is there anything else that I don't know. Do you guys even want to land, or do you want to get closer and scan this crash site? Where are you going with this?
I wouldn't mind getting closer and scanning the crash site, but I'm a little hesitant to even get out of the ship. I kind of feel like this planet's keeping the fungus alive by having the plant life be real spread out. And if we just burn everything, it'll die out completely. but I think we should check out the crash site first.
Mel, any ideas?
I'm not sure what we're going to be able to get from the crash site from either high or low orbit, but we can cruise. But in addition to throwing as many rocks as possible at this to burn it out, I'm also, we had to put something like 2001, attempt no landings on Titan, kind of an announcement.
Yes.
But
Maybe put a beacon in orbit and say, "Do not land here."
do we have an air raft?
That's. I mean, you could. It is not. Let me double check. I should know this, but let me double check. So it does not have. And I really feel that this is an oversight. It does not have a landing bay for an air raft, but there's no reason that you couldn't have one. The cargo area is 17 tons, and the Deepnight air raft, or which one is it?
Those are like 4 tons, aren't they?
Yeah,
Oh, you're talking about this.
the Vendara.
Yeah, that's bigger, I think.
The Vendara is basically like an hover ATV.
Yeah, yeah.
It's got a shipping weight of 12 tons, so you could have one of these in your cargo hold.
And that's like a grab vehicle.
Yes, it is an air raft.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, rather than
We may not want an open air one on this particular planet.
I think we should get a closed one and then
adventure.
Take like, our the Dresniks to, maybe come right over here or anywhere in that general area and just kind of hang out while we take and go down with the science done up air raft. And then if worse comes to worse, I mean, if we're really, really worried about infection, we can just take the data and send it wirelessly to the Dresniks and just abandon the air raft if we have to. And then even throw away our vac suits and just go through decontamination that way. But
Yeah,
I've got to find a way to break through to the third phase of the antidote repellent shit.
So it's got an advanced sensor system with increased range, advanced navigation system.
We could take samples of shit with it without ever leaving. It's got the big arm.
It has its own insidious environment containment, laboratory, short-term life support, fire extinguishers, corrosive environment protection, advanced control system, satellite uplink, advanced communication system, autopilot advanced, and it has an airlock. So the Vendara would have its own. It would have its own decontamination set up through the airlock. I mean, that's not going to decon the outside, but that can be done in your cargo bay.
Yeah. I mean, I've got to think we've got UV lights and everything all inside the cargo bay.
Oh, and we discussed this last week. So the it's not really an antidote. It is a counter agent. And at phase 1, it gives you a +2 to endurance checks to avoid infection. And to be honest, the infection is pretty easy to avoid. It's a endurance check, 2D plus your endurance modifier, and you only have to get a 4 or better. And you basically fight off the infection. The counter agent gives you a +2 to that whenever you're knocked for it. The phase 2 it makes it a more condensed form of the agent that allows you to spray it and it's a short range spray, but your decontamination compartments would of course be using this, and it actually deals damage. On here, I had it. It deals damage directly to the entity, to the tune of. To the tune of 2D hits per round.
Yeah.
The potential third stage of that doesn't really add anything to the counter agent as far as inoculation or to the damage. However, the third phase of that, if you get somebody who is infected, right now, in addition to using the counter agent, you also have to do nano laser surgery in order to cut out the infection from the internal organs. The third level of this would give a bonus to that surgery, causing the entity to shrink away. At a certain stage, though, like if they're in late stage shambler mode, it's not going to matter what you do. They're not. They're beyond hope at a certain stage, because
I feel you.
sooner or later, it's like an overly aggressive cancer. Sooner or later, you're just removing the entire organ. There's nothing left to cut away. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean that's what I think we should do is get on that air raft and go see what the fuck is going on. But we all need to be loaded with heap rounds and flamethrowers. I mean, what we need to be prepared to fight both biologicals and fungus-based creatures.
What I can tell you about this world, it is about 9,600 kilometers in diameter, surface gravity of 0.7 Gs. Atmosphere is thin, but there is no need atmospherically for any kind of mask or suit. It is a shirt sleeves environment. Pressure is between 0.43 and 0.7, depending on where you're at altitude-wise, sea level-wise. And it is 46 to 55% water. So it does have this pretty much single large ocean.
All right. Well, I guess we're headed off to the ship.
Sure.
We're gonna go check it.
Who is driving?
Someone with flyer grav.
I thought Bocephus had flyer.
I think I have it. Let me double check.
Yeah, I kind of thought that Bocephus had flyer grav.
I'm looking.
At one point, he did attempt to.
Yeah, I don't have it.
Remember when he bounced it off the side of the mountain? That was good times.
Yeah. But did have it. I don't have it now. I don't think.
That was with the planet with the big lobster creatures.
Yeah.
So the other thing that the Vendura has is...
I've got a 0 in flyer.
There you go.
So I'm just not specialized. So, all right.
So the other thing that this thing has is a...
autopilot?
Well, yes, there's that too. But it also has this arm. Where is it? It's...
oh, yeah.
Manipulator arm, advanced. I don't know exactly what that means. I'd have to look it up in the vehicle guide. But that it essentially means that you can grab stuff and either bring it to the airlock, for decontamination or for grabbing samples. And it's advanced enough that it I wouldn't say that it's good at fine manipulation, since it can also be used to grab stuff and throw it into the flatbed in the back. But wow, you couldn't even get a routine. Shit.
Oh, there's an autopilot though.
That's true. You do have an autopilid. So the autopilot.
You can take time too if it's not super.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, you're not under attack or
Yeah.
anything. I was just I didn't even need you to really roll. I'm just commenting like, holy shit, you can't even get a 6. But I mean, what are you gonna do with double deuces? But so you guys pile into the Vendara and take her down. Are you? How are you going about this? Are you landing the Vendara? Or are you just going over the site, getting close? Doing a close flyby. How are you doing this?
First, I think it ought to start with just a nice, slow circle flyby with Sarda doing his scanny finger stuff, or Mel. Hell, I'm not telling anybody what to do. And we should, get a good visual of the area as best we can.
Okay.
Just a nice slow circle of it, and then we'll take that information and decide what we should do next.
So you're in the hovering motorhome.
Yeah.
I mean, there are like fold out beds in here. There's a small laboratory in here. So I would say the autopilot is probably taking over at this point, keeping you over, and you are at your various stations. I guess we'll start with whoever wants to do a electronic sensors intellect for a scan, and you get a +2 to that for the advanced sensor system. Better double check.
Do you want me to? Sardeth, he's got the better scan. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Absolutely.
Sensors. I mean, 15 definitely gets it. Okay. Smart wheels with short-range sensors in them. Yep, advances +2. So with a 15, you scan the area. Now you are seeing that this is probably the last hurrah as far as a cluster is going, and it is still not doing well. These larger what appear to be a coniferous type of tree, interspersed with some leafy broadleaf type trees. All of these are slowly dying, and they are interspersed with several trees that are just absolutely sticks. They are dried out husks of what these trees originally were. This is probably the last hurrah for pretty much the last biggest cluster on the planet. You can see, though, with your sensors that the entity threw out these long, viney, mushroomy tendrils through the ground and was pretty much devouring the trees in this hill area. And with your sensors, you can see that some of these tendrils have, and of course, now that you're this close to it, your sensors get a much higher resolution. You can see that this is the rotting husk of a downed bioship. And it's obvious just from, I mean, now that you are close to it, it's obvious this thing will never fly again. It's been here a long time. But you can see that these tendrils have actually penetrated the hull of this bioship. Of course, that all of this data is, and there's a ring of death all around the bioship. Um, all of this data is of course pouring into Bocephus's lab station. Mel, what are you doing anything in sciency or techie?
Uh, Probably not. No, I mean, I, I cannot think of anything other than scans to do at this stage.
Well,
Not trying to avoid anything. I just, from this distance, not being down there, I don't have anything else to do besides play at a computer.
do you have? I mean, there's navigation systems. Um, Life support systems if you've got engineering.
I do have engineering life support.
You could make an engineering life support plus intellect check. Or education, your choice.
That's not really a choice.
Right? Okay. So you now that you guys are closer, you're monitoring life support of of the Vendara. And so this, like I said, this thing is basically a ATV without wheels. Instead, it's got a anti-grav system. And so you have your own self-contained environment in here, nice little living space, but it is short term. And I guess, I mean, what does short term mean? It means corrosive environment, hostile environment, insidious environment. It has most of those. Life support. Short term means provides this habitat for up to 4 days before air and filters need replacing. Included as part of the vehicle's regular maintenance cost, it consumes one space for every 20 people or part of on board the vehicle. So it consumes one. Shit, there's only. If it's only good for 4 days for 20 people, you guys should be good for what? 16 days, I would something like that. I mean, roughly 16, 20 days, somewhere in there. So, yeah, but you are the interior, of course, is sterile, clean, pristine air. And the CO2 scrubbers are doing their job. Exterior wise, you are detecting. I mean, it is red flagged on the life support that the external of the Vendara. I wouldn't say coating or dusting is actually the right term because that seems like a lot more than there is. But there is the presence of entity spores, and it's all coming back again with the computer saying inert or either inert, dead, or just in stasis. Bocephus.
Yes.
All the sensor data from both of their stations is coming into your to your science lab. Is there something sciencey that you want to look at now that you have closer, higher resolution scans?
I'm trying to look and see if there are any signs of a reversal of infection of any of the organic material in or around the bioship.
Make a hold on here.
I mean, I'm seeing death. That's one thing, But I'm trying to see signs of that third stage that you dangled in front of me. I'm thinking if we figure it out, we'll get a cool title above our name, because our name is floating above our head when we come in.
Yes, you get a title like you're playing in an MMO.
Yeah.
So that's weird. General purpose laboratory. I'm assuming. Oh wait. Includes analytic equipment, computer workstations, and equipment appropriate to the discipline they are specialized for, which must be defined upon installation. Whatever. Types of laboratory include those specialized for physics, chemistry, biology. This would probably be biology.
I would think all of our fucking shit is
psychology.
I mean, that's
what
our
does a
main
psychology laboratory even look like? That's a little frightening.
It gives LSD.
It gives LSD.
Little electrodes to shock people for doing it.
Fuck yeah, man.
Yeah, the little instead of gumballs, you turn the thing and it drops acid tabs for you.
Frontal lobotomy drones.
So okay, DM +1 to all science checks related to its specialization made within. So go ahead and make a science biology plus intellect. I don't know. Laboratory. This is going to be education. So science biology plus education, and you get a +1.
All right. Well, 13 then.
Okay. So it says. So 13.
If we, yeah.
You get some. You collate this data that's coming in of the spores outside. The first thing that comes in, of course, because it is flagged public enemy #1 with a bullet point, are these Deepnight spores. They are dead or dying, but that doesn't mean that they are any less infectious, is what you're seeing initially.
Right.
So if they were transported someplace that had nutrient-rich soil and something for it to feed on, they would grow. It may take a while,
Understood.
but they would grow. The other thing that you are picking up is that the entity was successful. So all this tests and whatnot that you have done on the biologicals is that they have essentially the same stage 1 immunity to the entity that you initially were looking at to create the counteragent. But essentially what you are seeing happened was that this bioship crashed. It doesn't look like it purposely landed. It looked like it was a controlled crash landing. And you are seeing evidence that the bioship itself tried to send down its own root system in order to feed and make repairs. The entity, the Deepnight entity, in turn, did actually penetrate the bioship, and essentially a battle for survival between the two started to happen. But ultimately, the entity seems to have won out. Now, what your science computer is basically telling you is that this would have happened long after the planet was already nearly dead. And so this was kind of a last gasp attempt by the entity to feed on something more than what it was already feeding on, which also goes back to your initial scan showing that the higher life forms on this world died first, which is not really something that can be explained, since you already know that the entity has a very short range. And so Somehow, all of these animals that were hundreds of kilometers away were fed on, but you don't know how that's possible. And this was kind of the last ditch effort for something more than the plant life that it's been subsisting on, and it latched in, and it ultimately won. But by the time that it had won that battle, the bioship was already so degraded that it would never fly again. The possibility here is that if the bioship had not been degraded so much, you've already seen that there's some level of intelligence to the entity. And the fear could be that if it were to fully infect a bioship that was functional, that it may then learn how to operate said bioship, at least for a limited time. But I mean, when I say limited time, I mean, what, 2-3 jumps, and then the ship is so degraded that it basically would just consume itself.
I mean, I hear you.
But I mean, you know that these bioships have J2, so I mean,
I get what you're saying.
So even if it's only subsisting for 2 or 3 jumps, you're talking upwards of 6 parsecs that the entity could travel before the ship kind of gave out.
Well, if it gets an understanding, I mean, it'll evolve so it makes its own fungi bioships.
Right. That could be a fear. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very real fear.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I don't necessarily know. I want to fucking land and poke about. Then I'm not seeing anything that. I mean, it's one of those things where if this shit really ever set hold on our ship, we're all dead, and it seems to be able to win in the long game anytime it sets in. So I mean, I don't necessarily know if we need to really land, but this is also the final stage of this thing. If we want to see really what this infection of this planet happened, we would need to go to one of the real dead areas and look at the ruins there, because that would be earlier in the timeline,
right.
Theoretically.
Right. So like all of these patches of just cleared brown is all just completely dead. There's nothing left there but the moss and lichen, and it's a very low nutrient value, so it's not like the entity can continue to subsist off of that.
Well, it might be interesting to see if there's anything that's keeping everything at bay. Because the lichen and that stuff's not getting killed by the stuff, so maybe there's something in the ship that's keeping everything away.
So you want to go closer to the ship? Is that what you're wanting to do? Or you wanting to go explore the lichen patches?
Well, if the ship is surrounded by lichen, it means that the deep space stuff's not in there, right?
Well, so what Bocephus's biology lab is telling him is that essentially the lichen and the moss is the entity's last thing that it's going to eat. So the order, it seems that he's picking up, the order is high level life forms died off first, then plant life, then it would go to the moss and the lichen, and its last ditch effort would be to draw out any kind of nutrients from the soil itself. So really the moss and the lichen are kind of the third item down on things that it wants to eat. If it finds something else that it can consume that is of a higher nutrient value, apparently it will go for that over the moss and lichen. And the bioship qualified as that.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Like, where is the most dead area on the planet?
That is a good question. I would say probably this valley right here.
I would like to go over there and look. I mean, if it's the most dead place, then that means that's where it probably originally set up its first clusters.
Okay. You can.
I don't know. Would it hit Death Valley first?
Well, the assumption is, I mean, this was a forest here. It's very likely that it extended much further than it does now.
All right.
Like, if you've ever seen an old burned out section of forest
Oh,
that has been that's very old, you can see that at the absolute edges you can see these dead burned out trees, but many possibly miles before that, in a lot of these old cases, you're going to see what appears to be initially just a valley, and when you walk through it you realize you're walking on essentially charred bark dust, and that's where all these trees have just crumbled to nothing, to the ground, and potentially is now feeding the grass.
Right. And my logic is being that if it went after the sentient and highest level life forms first, and the deadest place around is kind of, maybe the place it ate first, that would be where we would find possible technologies or something that were not organic and could be consumed could be there. The original cluster could have been there. We've never really had a chance to check out a place that's been picked dry and on a large scale.
Yeah, that is a good question. You're asking me questions. I don't know if I have. Oh, I do have some answers here.
I mean, if I'm just fucking spinning on wheels for nothing and I'm overthinking it, then, just tell me.
No. Okay.
And this is
so you can either manually fly over there, or I mean, this is a long ways. Somebody should make a navigation plus intellect check. And
do we have any navigation people?
Let me check.
I know that you're going to get a bonus. Oh wait.
Yeah, I actually do know navigation.
I've got
a train of 0.
Hold on.
Navigate.
You get a holy shit. You get a +4 to that.
Oh, look at you! You're gonna knock it out of the park.
11.
Yeah,
that should be plenty. Yeah.
You put in the navigation system. You put in the coordinates, and the autopilot will fly you there. And Pappy follows in the Desnex, keeping with you.
Just staying back. The only reason to separate it is if this little ship here gets all fucked up and infected, we can ditch it, and it doesn't hurt the whole resources of the Deepnight. I mean, losing an air raft is a lot less painful than losing a fucking ship.
True, although you have a limited number of these too. Very fast. I mean, you're able to travel between 500 and 800 kilometers per hour. So this this flying motorhome can get on it, and should make it. I mean, you guys zip right over there. When you get there, you do see that there is this huge rocky valley that is filled with this very dry lichen and moss, and it goes right up to the edge of where these dead trees are, and you can see that there is the remnants of a clearly sickly dying. I mean, I don't know what a sickly dying fungal cluster looks like. I mean, fungal clusters are already sickly and dying. But anyways, it's not well. Both. Let's see here. Both Bocephus and Sarda, you don't have to spend any points on this. Go ahead and make a telepathy, just a base telepathy plus psi check. So you both got 11?
He got an 11 in navigation.
Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So you both
9. I got a 9.
You both make it. As you approach, because you are set at a fairly low altitude with the Vendara. As you approach this entity over here, you are both kind of awash. Well, first you kind of get the sense that somebody's knocking on your telepathic shield. Somebody's knocking on the door, and peeking through the shield, you're kind of awash in this disturbing desire to feed and grow, and a sense of hunger.
That
Does it seem to be coming from like a single entity or all around us, or is it?
It seems to me you were picking up specifically from this entity here. Let's see, what else do we know here? You're also feeling like there is a very, very basic, almost animal, maybe slightly higher than animal intelligence behind this cluster.
You know,
when I say it's slightly above animal, it's highly forgetful and unimaginative.
Right. I'm just curious if all right, these spores, right? They infect a creature of some sort, right? Let's say a duck, and it infects the duck, and then the duck would grow tentacles and become some sort of shambler, right? And then it would immediately have this telepathic link to return to the cluster where the spore originated from and service it and feed it. What if we were to add like a null drug and mix it with the fungus inoculation and see if that reverses the effect? Maybe run the test on a monkey.
Where are we getting a monkey?
I've got monkeys fucking cloned.
He's got a
all
bunch
in
of
the
clone
motherfucking
monkeys.
I didn't realize that.
This is my monkey with 2 asses.
Yeah,
This monkey's
I'm
of no
pretty
use.
sure. I'm pretty sure I've said like 4 or 5 times I was going to make a monkey over the.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you've cloned your original monkey several times.
Benji.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that was
Benji's dead.
Benji died. Um, that was kind of the joke initially because he's a dolphin human that thinks it's funny that he keeps a primate around as a pet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is the largest cluster you've ever seen. So
Yeah.
if you were to stage these, what you saw on Deepnight Endeavor would be stage 1 and stage 2, which stage 1 is like a remnant. There's just fragments of it. Stage 2, of course, is a small colony. You've seen numerous of those. Stage 3 would be a minor cluster. You've seen those, where it is beginning to grow into the rudimentary form. And the largest that you saw before this would be stage 4, where it takes up an entire stateroom. Now, a mature cluster, stage 4 mature cluster you saw on Endeavor, where it had taken over the science labs at the top of the ship.
Yeah.
This would be a level above that. This would be considered like a stage 5 version. And like I said, this is the first time that you've detected that there is some psionic telepathic ability registered with these things before. This is probably the most intelligent that you've run into, but it's not like it's like I said, it's on an animal instinctual level. Like it can make decisions to defer immediate things based on its long-term goals. So, for instance, if you landed and you started to set up a colony, it might be smart enough to wait until the colony had grown to a suitable size before it started to infect and feed on you, because it wanted to wait for you to bring in more individuals. That's the level of intelligence that we're talking about.
How big an area do we think belongs to this cluster?
It's about 1 kilometer in diameter.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Because we're hypothetically flying towards an area where there'll be even more of this stuff. And so if it gets that intelligent with a 1 kilometer patch, I'm a little nervous about what a planet covered in this shit is going to be like.
Well, I mean, this planet was never really a garden planet, was it?
I don't know that you would call it a garden world, but it was fairly livable. I mean, thin atmosphere.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Thin atmosphere. Plenty of water. Let's see. You're not well. Somebody can make another electronic sensors plus intellect check at +2.
Sure.
Thank you.
Skills. Electronics. 14.
And Mel, you can make another engineering life support plus education check.
That would be helpful to you stay on that, Mel, though. I mean, that
Nice.
probably makes it so we don't get anything we don't get infected without knowing it.
Right. And Bocephus, you can make another science biology plus education check with a +2. Or, I'm sorry, +1.
Okay. Science, biology, gonna add a 1. 13.
Okay. So, Sarda, you scan this area, and it's pretty obvious just on the on the initial data that's coming in. That it looks like whatever happened, whether this was, it's looking like this was probably a meteor impact or something along those lines. You're not seeing that anything brought the entity here because you're not picking up any signs of any technological, any kind of tech being anywhere on the planet. You're not even seeing ruins. Mel, in addition to the spores that you're detecting, the inert spores, you are detecting that there doesn't seem to be any kind of artificial structures that would have their own form of life support, and that would include any kind of heating or HVAC or anything like that is in the area. That's the area is just completely devoid. But Cephas, your scans are showing that this is definitely the initial point of infection. So this was the first place where whatever brought the entity here, this is where it took hold. And the initial, the first stage was, of course, grabbing plant life and maybe a couple of animals or whatever higher life form that would allow it to grow, and it kind of spread out from there. The other thing that that telepathy check was allowing you to sense is that the clusters may have the ability that it can reach out and basically telegraph its telepathy along its shamblers, and they can call out to other life forms to bring them to the entity. So it didn't have to travel very far. It could go out and call to these higher life forms, calling them to it, where it would then infect them and thus feed.
That's kind of new.
That is new, yes. Yes, that is new.
Well, we haven't run into too many, groups this big of this stuff. I mean,
you've never seen one this size.
Yeah,
I think the closest that you came to this was in the droid laboratory.
Right, and that was a controlled.
That was in a controlled environment, right?
They didn't have the brain-like creatures controlling things or the crawler. I mean, it was yeah. And the spaceship might have had this much, but it was still separated.
Right.
Yeah, so this is a bit. I kind of feel like carpet bombing's the way to go, but at the same time, I feel like we should be learning tactics for bigger challenges like this. So I don't know that carpet bombing's going to teach us anything.
No, I want to try to come up with some type of. I mean, God, if we had a device that we could drop like a bomb, and it would inoculate the planet, that. I mean that, or something that would, like in the Pirates of the Drenex, where they had the torpedoes that had the bioagents that would kill Aslan.
Right.
Yeah, it was something along those lines, except for we're attacking the fungus. We could test such devices on this planet and see if it had an effect. The fact that this thing looks like it started with a meteor, right? Hitting the thing, that God, do we really want the DNA of this particular spore line that can fucking telepathically get higher intelligent creatures? Do we really want it hurling through space on random chunks of rock because we just did aerial bombardments on it?
So, as far as like orbital bombardment. So Deep Night Revelation itself has no missile launchers; those were all removed. Um, but your scout ship does have a missile launcher. Yes, it has one missile launcher. So that, of course, is an option. But there are two big booms. The first and biggest of them that Revelation carries are nuclear demolition charges. Basically, this is the Stargate idea where O'Neill comes in and is setting up the fucking nuke, right? It carries 12 of these. They are 1 kiloton nuclear demolition charges that are small enough to carry in a backpack. So yeah, we're talking about like what O'Neill had in Stargate. Of course, it says right here, disconcerting experience for the traveler that is assigned to carry it, but it's safe until it's armed. It The nuclear detonation on these would be in a confined space, will destroy almost anything, but for the most extreme of circumstances, there are, in addition, 2 10 megaton charges. These require a vehicle for transport, like a Vendara, but are capable of leveling part of a city, providing nuclear dampers are not in use. So, I mean, if we're talking about leveling part of a city, 1 kilometer would not be out of the question. But there's only 2 of these.
Yeah.
The second big boom is the hyperbaric charge, which is essentially it's a can of gas surrounded by dynamite, or plastique.
Huh.
I mean, I think I don't think we should ever leave until none of this shit is on this surviving. I mean,
so
burn the planet.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't know that you guys would. I mean, you're carrying nuclear demolition charges and hyperbaric charges. There is probably some nuclear ordnance that the scout ships could arm themselves with. I would think, considering the situation that you guys are in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Spinal Mount Pool.
That is, of course, another option, is just to lob rocks at the planet until the surface is molten.
That would take a long time, right?
Potentially. I mean, it depends on the size. I mean, if you grab something like the size of Ceres and huck it at Earth, there's not going to be a whole lot that's going to escape that. I mean, some of the size of Ceres potentially could ignite the atmosphere.
That's true. We could push some really big stuff at it.
They're saying that the asteroid that hit in the Yucatan that killed the dinosaurs created such a hole in the atmosphere that the initial impact blew chunks out of the Earth that would be possibly on the moon today. There is a possibility that there are dinosaur bones on the Earth from the impact of that asteroid. That's how big of a hole in our atmosphere it created. So you throw something like Ceres at it, yeah.
Well, the big thing is we wouldn't want anything to survive or possibly get blown into space. And
right, that's the other problem. You
somewhere else.
You gotta do the math on the size of your asteroid, but yeah.
Might have to do a collective pool shot where, we get something as big as we can manipulate and send it into something bigger to manipulate it, and so on. But yeah, I think I'm going to have to need to get a spore collection though.
Mel's already determined that there's plenty on the outside. You
Yeah.
could, or you could step out and fill a a collection
Well,
tube.
this advanced arm, can I send a tube through it and it
Yes,
collect it out the arm and
you
then
absolutely could
bring
do
it
that.
back and decontaminate the outside of the container?
You absolutely could do that. That would be a electronics remote ops plus dexterity check.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to use electronics.
Yeah, electronics 0 plus dex.
If you want help, I mean, some of us.
Yes. Yes. If that's your jam, do it.
Like,
Put
well,
that,
it's not my
jam on the
but
biscuit. Yeah.
I'm better trained than that. Oh, I rolled poorly. I got a 9.
That's enough. So yeah, you set a collection. I don't know how big. Probably a quart sized, heavy, thick glass or probably it is glass, something non-reactive, and Sarda uses the arm to scoop some of the dirt and soil that is going to have plenty of these spores in it, and you kind of scoop it up and you get some lichen and some of the moss in there, and screw the top screws on and seals. It is hermetically sealed, and you bring it into the airlock for it to begin the decontamination process of the exterior. Now, you're probably not going to, it's a glass container, you're probably not going to want to use UV light because that would kill all the spores inside.
Can't we put a coating on the glass on the outside of the container? Like just paint it with a sealant so light won't get in?
Yeah, you could use a opaque jar. I'll allow that.
Okay, cool.
So
and
yeah,
then we'll just put it in another safety container, and then decontaminate it. So there's 2 layers of protection.
sure.
Yeah,
I don't know that. I mean, you're in a motorhome-sized laboratory, so I don't know that you would have that level of containment in here. You're probably going to want to wait until you get back to the labs on Revelation to transfer it to another container.
I'm not talking about move it to another container. I'm talking about putting that container inside another container.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah. So in order to breach, if that one breaches, it's inside a container. If the outside container breaches, then the inside container might still be okay. And it's just a dual layer of. I'm trying to keep from getting narrated into role playing a shamble here. And so
you're doing the containment version of writing out what you want to wish in a wish spell.
Yeah,
it's got to be exact.
Yeah.
Go ahead and make a science biology plus education check.
Okay, I can do that. That's 10. I get a +1 for the.
Yep.
So 11.
Yeah. So you are the container. It spends a good hour in the airlock, getting decontaminated and shot with UV and sprayed with DEET. And you then open the inner airlock, pull it in, and you're wearing your special, some kind of laboratory-style vac suit that is protective, and you place it inside another container and seal that container. And you are
and then
you are successful.
And then go, okay. I don't know what else I could do to put us in any more danger without not having a viable reason. I mean, me personally, I would like to go get totally decontaminated and get to the laboratory on the Deepnight. But I mean, we're here. We can take some pictures, I guess, or do we want to start?
I would think that you are probably doing recording the entire time. Basic gun camera
Yeah.
stuff. If you want to get fancier with that, that would be. That would be. Now look at my skills here. I know there's a skill for that. I believe it's an art skill.
Profession, maybe photography.
Yeah, it could be profession, photography, or art holography. I don't know if it's holography though. Visual media,
None of this.
art, visual media.
Does
That's
anybody
more for,
have
like-
any of that shit?
That's more for like, I don't know. I would just say electronic sensors. I mean, you guys aren't trying
You're
to.
taking-
You're not trying to be Ansel Adams here. You're just wanting to.
We're trying to capture the fucking
Yeah, you're just taking, general
pictures.
photos. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that was all taken with the sensors checks.
Okay. Well then, yeah. I'm guessing now that we should go and start thinking about how to eradicate this shit with this planet. But I've done so much talking about the fungus. I'm gonna purposely be kind of quiet while it's figured out how to do all
Well,
that.
somebody else
because
comes up with the idea of how to nuke a planet.
Oh well, no, it's not that. Is that I really want to promote other players playing in a multiplayer game.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, is there anything else here that you want to do, or do you want to head back to Deep Night?
I'm done.
I'm good. I want to figure out how to start throwing large, massive objects at this planet.
Right.
See, that's got yeah. And Will is one of the most destructive people in the party.
Yeah. Well,
I think you're about to find out how destructive he can be.
I'm just trying to figure out how to burn the ionosphere.
So, Pappy sets course back to Revelation. Probably takes you, Jesus, that's a long ways. Probably takes you a good day, even at Thrust 4, to get back to Revelation. Probably take you about a day to get there too. But yeah, he docks you guys. You spend, probably a good 6 hours getting deconned. You individually inside the ship as well as the exterior of the ship. The Vendara is being sprayed down in the cargo bay. Whoever wants to can make a admin plus intellect check.
I can do that.
All right, if you want to, go ahead. I want to send an NPC expedition out. I want to have them go and do scans of the planetoid belt, find out if they think for traces of the spores. Did the meteor impact that kicked this event off come from that planetoid belt?
Interesting. So okay.
I mean, but I want to send NPCs to do it. I don't want to send spend 3 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Mel, your admin check, you are impressed because through the viewports, as the ship exterior is getting deconned, you can see that all of the deck crew of the hangar bay is following your guys' policies and procedures perfectly, as according to all of the training that you guys have instituted over the past several weeks. They are following procedures flawlessly. Now, this is the other thing.
Good.
The other thing to keep in mind about this is that, in addition to just the fact that they're following orders this time, is impressive in and of itself, because they've done so many stupid things throughout this entire cruise. But the other thing that's impressive about this is that nobody else on the crew, even to date, except for one other person who works in the science division, has had any contact with the entity at all. You guys are the only ones, with the exception of one science crew member, that has had any contact with the fungus among us.
So they
Yes.
deep down think it's bullshit.
Yes, we need to give an explanation of how this thing functions and how intelligent it is based on the mass of fungus.
Yeah, I mean you have new data to add. Clearly.
Yes,
Um,
and we need to really double down on the education. Every crew member should watch updated Fallout videos.
yes.
Well, I mean, just to teach everybody everything we possibly can. Someone, even the dumbest person could have a good idea.
That's true.
So,
in the 6 hour, well, it probably takes longer than 6 hours. Probably take. I mean, that's a long way. 3 days there and 3 days back to the planetoid belt. They are. I mean, the planet. It would take an infinite amount of time to scan the entire planetoid belt, but they believe that the information that they are finding from the planetoid belt is that it is not the origin point for where the fungus came from. The science division's belief is that it is from a meteor or comet that came extrasolar. It was out from outside of this solar system.
all right.
So, what are your guys' plans as far as lobbing things? I mean, like I said, you've got a near infinite supply of planetoid belt debris. I would imagine there's probably plenty of debris between this small gas giant and the planet itself, because there would be some form of belt here, even though it's not on the map. Gas giants have a tendency to be clumsy and destructive. So I mean,
We could get
go ahead.
if we get enough we can create a black hole.
Just turn the planet into a black hole. I mean, this star's going to go anyways in a couple hundred years. I mean, fuck it. That is the other thing to look at. This star is already at the pre-subgiant phase. Now, that probably isn't saying a whole lot. What does it say exactly? It says Solo K7 orange star of unusual size and emission spectra. The science team has a suspicion that this star is beginning to expand into orange subgiant and will eventually become a giant star. In the interim, conditions in the star system will be changing. The science division this entire time has been really looking at what this star is going to do, and so it is in the pre-subgiant phase. It's going to go giant, which means, let me get my circle. Find a brighter red. That's a good red. So you're probably looking at this star expanding like so. So these two inner worlds are going to get really hot and then cease to exist. And this little moon that's orbiting this small gas giant is suddenly going to be well, it's going to be a little bit, well, maybe not. It's suddenly going to be in the Goldilocks zone.
What kind of time frame are we talking on that?
I mean, if stars don't do anything quickly, but you're probably looking at some time within the next anywhere from 500 to 1,000 years.
Yeah.
I'm not going to live that long. Start throwing racks at it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's a long time to just say, well, it could happen.
Well, yeah, I think you should do whatever you can to lessen its immediate impact, and then we can put out warning buoys and go our way. And if that means throwing rocks at it to disrupt its atmosphere and dampen it, then so be it. Even at that, I guess it would make it harder for any remnants of that shit to survive. It's still trying to get off of the planet. So I mean, 500 to 1,000 years. Those biologicals are flying around. Just no, they don't seem right.
So if you want to throw rocks at it, the first thing I need is somebody to make an astrogation plus intellect check or education, your choice, and you can add a +4 to that.
That's you, Mel.
Yeah, I got a couple ranks in it already. +4.
Yes.
Yeah, that's gonna be sick.
It's pretty easy to. I mean, if you already know navigation and you got to figure your astrogation computers on a jump vessel
2 and a 1 gets me a 12.
You're right. Okay. So you got to figure that astrogation computers on a jump ship are really calibrated to be looking at, in this case, 4 parsecs, with 1 parsec being what, 3.6 light years, I think. So
Yeah.
so four parsecs out is what this astrogation computer is used to navigating. Picking a rock and finding it to the best trajectory to throw it from the planetoid belt to a planet on the inner system is nothing. That's nothing for one of these computers to deal with. And so you are able to find you are able to determine the trajectory. I need somebody to make a electronic sensors plus intellect or education check, and we will
Got it.
determine a number of rocks. Ooh, that's a good roll. So you find one really big rock with a high nickel content, and you find 7 other rocks with a high mixture of iron and silver that are large enough that all of these. I mean, the first big one with the nickel content is probably large enough that it could possibly boil away a good portion of that ocean. The other 7 that you find are, if you were to launch each of those, you could essentially liquefy most of the continental land masses on that world.
So, but wait, but you said that even like whales and shit were dead, so this thing can propagate through water.
Right.
So the land would be a good start, but
Or you could do all 8. Just fuck that planet right up.
Well, I mean, hypothetically, you could salt the land with water from the ocean if it's salty enough. That would definitely cut down on a lot of the biomass. It would take forever though. I don't know how you'd do it quickly.
Right. Well, I mean, nobody dove into the ocean too much, but you know that there's no large higher level life in the water anymore. Potentially, the entity ate all plant life on the sea floor as well.
Yeah. I, I, I think you should do everything that you can. I mean, if there's multiple rocks to chunk them.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you got 8 big rocks that you can throw at this world.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess just pick one and what whoever makes the check makes the check.
Well, I mean, this might be one. I mean, this is up to you guys. This might be one that you want the gunnery crews to handle, because this would be a gunner artillery check.
I have turret, but I have gunner.
So that's at least gunner 0. It would be gunner 0 plus. I mean, plus Dex. You've already got a +1 for target lock. You know where the planet's at.
I'd be rolling a 1. I'm in the same boat you are.
Yeah, I'd get a 6.
The artillery, I mean, the science crews would get a total of it would be 2d plus 3 if they were to make the roll.
Yeah, all right. I'll roll for one of them, and we can all roll for one.
Yeah, go for it.
All right.
Yeah, each of you can roll 2d plus 3. There you go.
$12, 14.
Nice.
What are we rolling?
2d plus 3.
Not good.
It just you probably still hit the planet, just not where you wanted.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, with a 7, you would definitely hit the planet. So Deepnight sticks around. I mean, you're kind of having to wait. The velocity that you basically use small craft to go out and grab these things and push them on the trajectory, and it's even, like I said, even at thrust 4 from the planetoid belt. I mean, that's probably a good week's worth of, maybe a week and a half worth of travel. So Deepnight kind of just chills out, sitting in this planetoid belt for a week and a half, and it does. These things do strike the planet. There is, from long range. I mean, this is beyond very distant. You are detecting massive explosions and detonations on the world where these things are impacting. You're talking about, the science division is talking about, like, this is an extinction level event that's going on. I don't know if that's enough to satisfy you guys, or to move on, or...
I mean, I don't really necessarily know what else we can do.
I like the black
Other-
idea.
I mean,
it's a little chaotic. It's hard. It's a little hard to control.
Yeah.
We can jump.
You need a lot of neutronium.
So
Then you have to create a laboratory to create the black hole on the planet's surface. It would not be cheap or quick.
Right. Yeah. A particle collider would be ideal. That's gonna take a while.
We have one on our fucking spine, don't we?
That is actually true. That is true. That's true. I didn't think about that. Yeah, you do.
Got a good sized one, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, you had a good sized one. It's enough to punch, 1,000 hit point holes in ships. So yeah. So I think this is probably a good spot to break for the week. If you are done with the planet, we will just go ahead and jump. You guys can add a week to your studies.
Let's add a beacon.
Okay.
Attempt no landings on Titan.
Yeah, basically explain that the planet is contaminated by a fungus that is devouring biological. That.
Where did you want to place that beacon? Around. You could put it in orbit around that world if you want.
In orbit around the world would be the best.
Okay. Yeah, you can place a beacon that basically
Just
is
something small with a solar panel that basically, alerts people of danger.
Yeah, just drop a probe.
And include footage of, include video footage of what the stuff can do.
Okay. Or you include
like
science data that you've already collected, or
yeah, let's include anything. Let's include science data that we've collected that we don't think will be problematic to be shared with the universe.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay. So you guys drop a warning beacon, and like I said, you guys, they continue on their merry way.
I'm wanting to start making my super. Do we already have a badass place to do experiments on that is?
Oh yeah.
With the fungus.
I would think, probably right in here somewhere is this is the Central Science Pod division. So there would be a whole bunch of laboratories and all sorts of shit in here.
All right. Well, instead of studying, I am going to get me a couple monkeys and go in there with the spore.
Number 5 is laboratories.
Yeah. I want to see if I can find a way to reverse the process.
Okay.
So I've got to double that, but I want to try to do. I'm thinking maybe if I interrupt its telepathic abilities, even at its base level, that's hard to detect. It might be able to be, we could combat it easier. It would be less unified in what it's doing.
Right.
And so I'm wanting to mix some kind of null drug with the inoculation and do testing with that. But the first thing I have to do is get a sick monkey.
So you're going to purposely infect a monkey?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I'm going to have another one.
Happen there.
Nothing bad can ever happen there.
Well, I mean, okay, we'll take off their arms and legs and tail and just, it'll be just a body and a head with tubes and shit sticking in it, to feed it and stuff. And then we'll infect it. We'll
see if this is the entire reason PETA exists.
Well, you don't want the monkey getting infected and start running around. So, if you take its legs and shit off, it's not going to break out. Because where you find a dog with no legs.
The second that monkey throws feces, somebody else is getting infected.
Yeah. So do some preliminary work on the monkey and just have it on like an automated feeding system and shit, so it's just a head and a torso.
You spend too much time thinking about this shit. Mel, are you studying? Are you doing anything horrific?
You want to help?
I'm going to study just because when PETA shows up, I don't want to be anywhere fucking near.
There's a whole bunch of naked crew member hippie chicks that are outside of Bocephus's labs, with their arms tied behind their backs. And there's like spray
Look,
painted with whatever.
As the ship's counselor, I assure you, this is okay. And
This is all above board.
it's all okay.
He's just built-in bioethics board.
Yeah.
So putting in a week of study, does that put you at a check or?
No, it just puts me halfway there.
Okay. What about Sarda?
Yeah, I'm gonna study and try not to think about those monkeys. That gives me another week on vac suit. It puts me to 5 weeks, so I've got another 3 weeks to go.
Okay, we will pick this up next week on Friday night with jumping to the next the next horrific event in Deep Night Revelation.
Hell yeah. That was pretty fun. Hey, we can play live stream videos of the monkeys as they sit there and just insane in the chow hall.
Oh,
So while people eat, they can just look at.
It just occurred to me, I'm out next week.
okay. Well, we will.
Unless you want to bring the game to me in Vancouver, I am out next week.
We will.
No.
We will make a Vancouver, British Columbia.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice. That's where my brother lives.
We will make a decision closer to the event. We'll see if Brian's in or out, and make a decision whether to take the week off or not.
Yeah. Another thing, I don't know if I told you or if you want me to tell you another group or whatever it is on the thing, but September 20th, the Saturday.
Yeah.
The Braunhaven game.
Yes.
I have to go to a baby shower. It's for my own grandkids, so I really can't skip it.
Okay.
So
Go ahead.
I have to
That probably
go.
would be frowned on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a no. Yeah, bring that up during tomorrow's game, and we can make the decision then on whether to cancel that game or not.
Yeah. So I actually gave you 2 weeks notice.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. See, you don't even say I'm fine anymore.
It's like you don't even care.
That was fun. Y'all have a great night.
All right, have a good night, guys.
Take care.
Yep.